Welcome guys and girls. Thank you for watching, and that's another round of the course introduction video to Microsoft official course about SharePoint 2013. Now, the past two videos on SharePoint 2013 covers more towards the farm administrators. Now, this video we will talk about course number 20488. This focuses the opportunity for .NET developers to come in to learn to become a SharePoint developer. So this is course 20488, Developing Core Solutions for SharePoint 2013. Now, I'm Gerald Hoong, and I'm gonna just explain to you all the 15 modules that we have in 5 days. Now, if you look at the breakdown of all these 15 modules in 5 days, right, okay, it seems to be quite intensive because there are a number of different topics, okay, that is a major focus in SharePoint 2013. So I'm not going to waste much time here, okay, to talk about what is SharePoint and all that. But being a .NET developer, you know how to apply your C# experience, right, in any of those applications. Now let's see what we have for you in SharePoint 2013. Beginning with Module 1, okay, if you guys are a new .NET developer that want to step into SharePoint, you need to understand SharePoint being a developer platform. What SharePoint has to offer in terms of their libraries, their APIs, what kind of namespaces, where are the DLLs that we need to apply into the project. Now, we are using Visual Studio 2012 in this course. So adding the DLLs, registering it as a reference in the project, even the project templates, they are naturally provided in Visual Studio 2012. So beginning with module number 2, we're going to start to look deeper into the SharePoint objects. This is where I'll introduce you to all the different objects, simple and basic objects that you are required to learn. Objects such as SP Farm, SP Web Applications, and etc. So these are things that you will definitely need to begin with. Of course, we're going to progress to module 3, where you're going to learn about the lists and libraries. How do we use our code and to create a solution that manipulates, okay, and even manages your lists and libraries on SharePoint. This gives you access, okay, to the data or content in the lists and libraries. Now, module 4, we're going to look into an overall of the features and solutions, the two core elements when you compile your SharePoint solution in your Visual Studio. You need to understand what's the difference between a feature and a solution. So once we package them, when we publish, what do we get? So that's what you're going to learn in module 4. Now, module 5, we're going to seriously deep dive into the coding. Now remember that the course on SharePoint development are only looking into C#. So the server-side code that is covered in module number 5 here looks into using C#, okay, to write all the server-side code that runs directly on SharePoint server. Now, module number 6, of course, we skipped a bit on the coding part because we're going to continue that in module 8 later on to talk about client-side coding. But what is 6 for? So module 6 now looks at managing identities and permissions, but not as an administrator, but from a developer perspective. So all your programming objects in SharePoint does represent every user and even the permission level. So you can actually create a solution that comes applied with a certain permission for a user or a group. Then module number 7 is the first module that introduces you guys to the new app model development in SharePoint. So introducing apps for SharePoint. Now this particular knowledge will very well carry you guys forward to the next release of SharePoint 2016. So, but anyway, module 7, the introduction to what are apps, how different it is from the conventional solutions for SharePoint. You're going to learn that in module 7. Now, because apps uses client-side coding, that is why in module 8 now, you're going to learn client-side development, learning about two types of languages. Your C# can be used as a client-side code, and of course, the customary JavaScript. So you're going to learn about how apps uses 100% of JavaScript and jQuery, right, into their app development. And module 9, you need to understand that apps okay, how they are going to be remotely hosted. Because the app model was specifically developed by Microsoft, right? Allowing you guys to write your solutions, or in this case, an app, that you no longer just being restricted to deploy onto your SharePoint, but you can now deploy it remotely on a remote web server. And it may not just be an IIS, it can also be maybe an Apache Tomcat, or it can be also an app that is written not primarily in .NET, maybe it can be in, let's say, Node.js, Ruby on Rails, etc. So module 10, focusing still on apps. That's the last module we talk about apps. You learn how to, of course, finish up, publish the apps, and learn how to distribute the apps on your own app catalog. So the public store which you can actually register and sell your apps onto, which is online, public internet, or you can set up your own internal organization app catalog where you publish your app directly for internal users only. So that's the last topic that we will focus on apps. Now, module 11 would be yet another important skill that a SharePoint developer must have. This module 11, Automating Business Processes, talks about workflow. Now, you will learn how to use SharePoint Designer to write a simple workflow, and also maybe in the second section you'll learn Visual Studio, using that to create a custom activity which can further be compiled and used alongside other actions in your SharePoint Designer so you can incorporate them into your workflow. It's pretty interesting, believe me. And module 12, you learn about taxonomy. Now, unlike the course about 20331 on the administration, where administrator learns how to configure the managed metadata service, creating the term stores and all that, you guys as a developer learns how to use code to create the term stores, the groups, the term sets, and etc. Module 13, proceeding to that, a little bit more advanced, whereby you learn how other custom components as well as managing the life cycle of a site. So what you learn in this module 13, right, practically focuses on site templates, web templates, as well as list definitions. How you can actually provide custom templates for both your lists and libraries, as well as the entire site. This can also configure through XML elements so that you can deploy them as a declarative component. Now, speaking of declarative component, module 14 will now talk about how you can further customize your user interface of SharePoint. Now, all these elements on the UI of your SharePoint, namely the ribbons, the edit control block, the right-click menus, the menu items, the buttons on the ribbon, all of them are through elements.xml. So typically, you will learn how to give and create a blank XML element and declaratively create and design those buttons on the ribbons and all that. Now that will bring us to the very last module 15, where we focuses on branding. Not really a deep dive in branding, but really just a surface detail about branding and navigation. How can we use the design manager in a publishing site, right? Allowing you to customize the navigation by introducing ASP menus, breadcrumb trails, that you can incorporate into your publishing site. So there you go. 15 modules in the first fundamental development course for SharePoint developers. It's pretty exciting, and I really also hope that you guys can proceed to the next course, the Advanced Solutions Development, which is course number 20489. So I'm signing off right now. I'll see you guys in the next video on 20489. Thank you very much.